She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Are there some people in your life that absolutely drive you crazy? Like seriously, the ones that you just bump heads with? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. This is Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're talking about communication today, and why? Because your communication skills determine whether or not you get promoted in all your relationships. It determines whether or not you get promoted in your job, in your business. It determines whether or not the marriage is going to reach that place of harmony and unity. It also determines whether or not the kids are going to cause you more stress or less stress. All boils down to communication. Man, this is one of the things that I've learned through the last 27 years of being in business, that communication really determines where you get to go in life. We are limited by how we communicate, or we are liberated by how we communicate. I know that you probably have never put these two things together, but communication and dollars go together. In fact, think about this. Where does money come from? Where does it come from? In order for you to have the kind of success financially that you want, you are going to have to learn to communicate differently with people. Why? Because money comes from people. That's why. People are the ones that determine whether or not they're going to pay you or pay you more or bonus you, all based on your communication skills. I know this to be a fact, not only for myself, for my life, for my marriage, with my parenting as a homeschooling mom. I've got 5 kids, 7 grandkids, several companies that I've been running for 2.5 decades. Not only for me, but for our clients. It's amazing to me to have watched clients from all over the world that this was the number one area that was holding them back the most from high levels of success financially, as well as high levels of success in their personal relationships, their family relationships, their spousal relationships. Even some of them were single forever because they lacked great communication skills. So I'm excited about what you and I are going to discuss today. I really am. I'm excited because you're about to get promoted. If you actually listen to the content of today's program, then I know if you apply it, then I know you're going to get the same kind of results that our clients have gotten. So the problem with communication is that most people think that they're really good communicators. They think they got this thing dialed already. But the sad, hardcore facts are this: there's always room for growth. And the fact is that every single people problem you have in your life, there is a common denominator. You are there. You are there. Most of us spend too much of our life trying to change other people, change their beliefs. We try to change the way they act. We try to even change their religious beliefs or their religious convictions or what they're passionate about. Marriages, this happens often in marriage. My husband and I did this as well. And every once in a while, something like that will come up. As we grow and develop as people, we find that there are things very different about each other. And the tendency is, no, you need to think like me. No, you need to think like me. How can you not get this? This is bad communication and never, ever brings the unity, the passion, the love, the other things that come with passion and love that you want. You want that in your marriage. Same with the kids, okay? So effective communication is absolutely essential to every relationship in your life, every business relationship as well as every personal relationship. And good, clear communication is what allows you to get more done in less time. More done in less time by clear communication. A lack of communication causes tasks to take so much longer. Oh my gosh. So much longer. So, how would you rate your communication skills? How would you rate your communication skills with your spouse, your kids, your coworkers, your clients? And then I want to flip the question around. How would they rate your communication skills? What would your spouse say about your communication skills? What would your children say about your communication skills? What would your boss say? What would your clients say? What would your employees say about your communication skills? It's a great question to ask yourself. So we're going over the phones and we're going to find out what you have to say about your personal communication skills. We have Ron Henderson from Sagertown, Pennsylvania. Ron, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. So what would you say the answer is to that question for you?
Well, I'm always accused of not listening.
Mm.
And
What do you think about that?
I used to blame it on the ADD, but I think I'm learning now that I was prescribed high doses of opiates for 5-6 years. Wow. And yet now, thank God, I've been free from that for about 2 months now.
Oh, wow.
So, I don't know if morphine makes you stupid.
Oh.
But I drive them crazy. They, say there's a banquet Tuesday, 3 o'clock, and I'll ask it again tomorrow, and it's like, how many times I got to tell you?
Yeah.
And I drive my kids, my wife, and just up a wall with it.
Well, I do know that high doses of opiates will absolutely jack with your memory. But at the same time, there are things, skill sets you can, or strategies you can apply that can help your memory actually get better. Let me ask you this. When they are talking to you, are you often thinking about something else?
Well, they tell me I talk over them and don't listen and don't let them talk.
Yeah. And
that's where I thought that, maybe because I know the ADD, I got to get this out or it's going to be out the window.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but that's, that they tell me I ask too many questions. It's like, all right, sorry for inquiring,
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's the same questions that are always being asked about the same subject, you can understand. I mean, can you see their perspective why that would be frustrating? Like you said, there's a banquet on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and then you ask again, what time is that banquet on 3 o'clock?
Right.
Can you see that would be frustrating from their perspective?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And it frustrates me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on the other side, by the way. I've been on the other side of being asked the same question a dozen times and, talking to somebody that is not listening. They're just not listening. They got details going on in their head. They're thinking about something completely different. And or the thing that provokes the most rage from people is, being on your phone. Being on your smartphone or texting somebody while somebody else is actually talking to you. Listening skills are hugely important. And let me ask you a question, Ron. If this continues, what do you think the relationship is going to be like with your wife and kids?
Oh, it's already got it a mess. I mean, I'm like, I hate to ask anything, hate to say anything, and it's kind of like, just keep my mouth shut and maybe things will go away.
Is it working?
No, not at all.
So where do you think this is going to go?
I need to figure out some better communication skills. And
if you don't, where do you think it's going to go?
Things.
Where do you think it's going to go if you don't?
Just keeping everybody frustrated and cause strife and it just keep. Yeah, it's not going to go good.
No. So how long do you think that people can live under strife? Not only them, but you. You know what I mean? Look, you're in this place now where you're like, okay, I'm not going to say anything because if I open my mouth, I'm going to get in trouble. And if I ask any questions, I'm going to get in trouble, right? So you're like locked up in a cage. Okay? They're locked up in the cage of frustration. You're locked up in the cage of fear. So tell me, how long can the family live under fear, strife, and frustration?
Yeah, how long, I don't know.
Yeah.
I need changes immediately.
Yeah. I think you're right. Okay, listen. Do you have a pen and paper handy?
I will have, yeah.
Okay, good. Because I'm going to give you a phone number. And I want you to write this phone number down. And I'm going to give you some really simple instructions of something that I want to put in your hands that's going to help you initially with some communication skills, okay?
Great.
All right. First of all, the first thing I want to tell you is do not blame ADD. I work with a lot of people who've been diagnosed with that, even those who've been drugged with it, and I can tell you that all it is a personality, okay? Your personality, you are triggered more with fun. You like to be in social environments. You like music. You like sports. You like being around people. Details is not your strength. However, I could assume maybe that your wife, is she detail-oriented?
Very much.
Yeah, you guys are opposites.
very much.
You guys are complete opposites. And so she's organized. She's a facts and figures girl. She is very detail-oriented. She has a memory that seems to go back to the dinosaur age. Would you say that's her?
It sounds like you know her.
What I know is the personality.
Yeah, and I don't like, I know to bridle my tongue. I don't like to press in, the ADD or the negative. And,
No, what I'm saying is when you're blaming ADD, you're giving the ADD power, and it's almost like it's a crutch, and it's an excuse. It really is an excuse. I know plenty of people who've been diagnosed with that who are great communicators and can follow through, and they can not frustrate the people that are around them, and that's just simple communication skills. Do you understand? That's all it is simple communication skills. So there's 2 phone numbers I'm going to give you.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to give you 1 phone number. Okay. 866 760
760
8255.
8255.
I want you to ask for Nate, Nate, and I want you to tell him that Dani just said that she's going to give me a book on communication skills. The book is called First Steps to Wealth. Okay, you can get it emailed to you in an ebook form right now. If you want the physical copy, you pay the shipping to get it to your house, and I will send the $15 book to you. Okay, Nate will actually ship it off to you. All right, so it's called First Steps to Wealth. Tell him that you just got off the phone with me and that you want that copy. Here's another thing. I'm trying to ask you these questions of how long is this going to continue? How long can your family live under this striving and fear and frustration? Because you're the one that's afraid to talk, and they're jumping on you because they're angry. They've got some resentment because they feel like they haven't been heard. And there's no neglect like feeling like someone is not listening to us. And so listening skills are so important for you to learn how to develop. And you can learn that, which means that you have to get really serious about it. And this is going to be just like how you've just gotten free from the opiates, and it's been 2 months. It's a day-to-day battle. That's a day-to-day skill set development of having that self-control, of not empowering the urges, but saying goodbye to the urges. The same exact thing's going to happen with listening. You're going to have to put a strong focus on it, make it your number 1 priority in communication with your family so that your family will feel heard. The book's going to help with some of that. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
The media is like a carnival of loud voices, all barking about their big ideas. It's time to shut off the big ideas and get some big results. And this lady knows how to get results. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
But I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's DANI Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
The way you look at things is about to change. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
You get paid to communicate. I don't know if you know that. And if you're a great communicator, you're going to have great relationships at home as well as at work. And here on the Dani Johnson Show, every single day, we pick topics that are designed to help you to succeed, designed to help you to have success in every area of your life, and not the status quo of success. No way, man. We are shattering the status quo of success, because the status quo says this: sacrifice the marriage, sacrifice the kids, sacrifice your health to get rich so you can live on top of that hill with that Bentley and, that Rolex. That's not a life, okay? I believe that you can have the things that you desire, obviously within good moral reasoning, and you can achieve those things without sacrificing those things. No way. And not only that, but that causes stress when the relationships at home as well as at work are highly stressful. It does not help you to succeed, and you certainly don't feel successful. You feel defeated when there's not good communication between you and those that you live and work with. So today on the Dani Johnson Show, we are really tackling the issue of communication. Man, I'm telling you, this is huge. Okay, because right now I'm finishing up a school year, right, as a homeschooling mom, and finishing up the school year. This has been the best last half of the school year, and something broke, meaning usually at the end of every school year, it's like, oh, I feel like I am being provoked to be the tyrannical school principal, teacher, and superintendent, and I want to pull my hair out. The boys want to pull their hair out, and this year we've I don't know, threw a new leaf. I don't know what you call it, but either they're not my kids or I'm a different person, one or the other, because this would be at the end of every school year, a very frustrating time. And so we have found some really good places of communicating with each other that has helped so much. And I want to share some of those things with you. One thing that is really important is listening. Listening, man, and not only listening, but listening to the words that are not said. Yeah, listening to words that are not spoken. 93% of all communication is nonverbal. Only 7% are the words. That's actually how we communicate. With 7% words, 93% nonverbal. Nonverbal communication. That's crazy if you think about it. It's the tone. It's the look on the face. It's the huff and the puff, or the frustration you could see, or the dead stare in one's eye. You know what I mean? You can tell when someone is not listening to you, or they don't want to hear what you have to say. And so correcting your nonverbal communication will actually help you to become a better communicator. So we're talking to you and talking to our favorite listeners to the Dani Johnson Show today about that and where your communication struggles actually are, or some improvements that you've made that you can share with everybody else that's listening. We've got Carla Tittle from Austin, Texas. Is it Otland, Texas? Austin, Texas.
Austin.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you, Dani?
Good, welcome. So tell me, when at the very beginning of the show, I asked the question of how would your spouse, your kids, your coworkers, your clients, your staff, how would they rate your level of communication? What would they say about your communication with them?
They would say that I'm very precise with my words, and I explain things in detail, communicate clearly. I used to lead professional development sessions, so I have a lot of experience in speaking to people,
right,
or to a group of people. So I hope that answers that question. I mean, I'm always working. There's always areas of improvement,
right?
Of course.
Yep. So do you feel like your family would report to you that you are an awesome communicator and there's never any misunderstandings and they don't get frustrated with the communication?
Not when it comes to verbal, but I know that I always need to work on my nonverbal.
That was what I was discerning from this whole thing. Right away when you said, I speak very precise and very detailed, and I went, oh gosh, I can imagine what that looks like to a 3-year-old. Now, I am telling you for the 17th time, when you take your clothes off of your body, they are to go into the hamper. And it makes perfect sense. Wait, exactly. So, I mean, could you imagine a 3-year-old looking at that? I mean, what would you feel?
Yeah, I would feel like, bark, 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 bark.
Yeah. It's that Charlie Brown, the teacher, in that little cartoon, like, rah, 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 rah. They can't hear you. Okay. Exactly. But not only that, do you think that might scare somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind, when you say, I want you to think about this, okay, we have to take a short break, but I want anyone listening to this to think about this. Does that create frustration or fear? This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Dani will be back with more expert business, money, and relationship advice to help you live the uncommon life. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, first steps to success in creating dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in 2 completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college. And I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so. I highly recommend you get registered for the next first steps to success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role, and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace. And Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace. And God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
You know, you've heard this before. It's not so much about what you say, it's more of how you say it that determines success in our business relationships as well as our personal relationships. We're talking about communication today because it's huge in the grand scope of success. I'm telling you right now, my friend, the fact is that when we do not know how to communicate effectively, and that doesn't mean that we are precise, that doesn't mean that we are detailed, that means that we are communicating our heart, that we are communicating compassion, that we are communicating love and acceptance. Yeah, we're communicating that the other person is important and we value them greatly and we want to hear what they have to say. We want them to explain how they're feeling. So yeah, that determines success in our business. It determines success in our jobs, at home, everywhere. But man, I got to tell you, I really identify with Carla from Austin, Texas. Because Carla, I'm so sorry, because you and I have very similar communication style. And so I know that I have, because of my very detailed, very abrupt, you need to follow X, Y, Z. And here is why. My long emails, and then I get frustrated when people don't follow it. You know what I mean? It's like, I have already explained this 4 times. And then the blood is boiling. And now I'm not in love. I'm not compassionate. I'm not communicating in care or patience or kindness or goodness. But instead, I'm communicating like a demon. So anyway, Carla, so what areas do you feel like need to be improved?
Well, you know, when I first called, I was going in another direction, and then you just basically schooled me on what I've been schooled and schooled myself my whole life. So maybe I should go back to that, I guess, is how to control your nonverbal communication, how to control your facial expressions.
Exactly.
So that it doesn't look like I'm frustrated.
Exactly. Okay, well, first of all, That's a heart issue. You see, we communicate spirit to spirit. That's how we communicate with people. We are spiritual beings, and we communicate spirit to spirit. We communicate emotion to people, right? And our personality has a tendency of being non-emotional.
Yeah.
Quick to the point. Here it is. Everyone understand? Great. 1, 2, 3. Goodbye. But that's not what people are looking for. We are humans, and we want to be touched. We want to be felt. We want to be heard. And so how that gets communicated, first of all, a smile is huge. Even when we're disciplining our kids, even when we are disciplining employees, even when we're having to correct something or address a really hard issue, that's one area. A second area is our tone. I will soften my tone, but the only way I can enter in conversations like that, and someone in my position that has, you're running a company and a charity, you got a lot of moving parts going on all the time, and I've only got 20 hours a week. I have to make sure my heart is right every day. And so for me, I don't know what your spiritual life is, but Carla, I would be a mess and I'd be dead without my God and without starting my day every day, humbling myself before him. And I have words of wisdom posted in my bathroom as well as throughout my house. And the words I choose to have posted, this is one of them, Proverbs 15:1, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. That's one passage that I have staring me in the face every day. Another one is that it is it's to our own discretion to overlook a transgression of another person. And it is to our glory to not say anything about it. You see, people like you and I were detail-oriented, so we notice just about every single thing that somebody does wrong. But unfortunately, we have a tendency of not recognizing every single thing that they do right. So we will generally come across as critical and condemning because it's very easy for us to see what needs to be corrected instead of seeing what is already good and start there. So those are, I'm serious, Carla, because my tendency is critical. I lean towards critical. I lean towards, pointing out what's wrong. And so I literally, and I've had to do this for 27 years, and I'm going to have to do it for the next 27 years, forever long I get to be on the planet. I literally have got to use self-control. And I have to focus intently. Like it takes every cell in my body to focus on what's right, what's good, what's praiseworthy. Because my natural tendency is what's wrong. And it sucks. So daily, if I don't start my day with God, and I don't start my day with prayer, and I don't start my day in that wisdom and reminding me of that, because I have to break this, you know what I mean? And focused on not stirring up anger in other people and not being quick to be angry. Here's another, this is a powerful passage, and it's in Proverbs 12. Actually, Proverbs 12 has probably the most powerful it's probably the most powerful proverb of all concerning our responses. And so I have several from there, but Proverbs 12, I think it's verse 16, says something to the tune of this. I don't have it memorized, but I read it daily. Okay, and so it says something to the tune of this, that a fool's annoyance is known at once. Ooh. Carla, do you know what that just said?
Yeah.
She's like, my butt's getting chapped right now. Okay, so a fool reveals his annoyance at once. Right? So when people frustrate us and we it's written all over our face.
Oh, yeah.
We're a fool. I don't want to be a fool. But it also says that the prudent or the wise will kind of overlook it. They just won't. They won't allow the annoyance to show. They will not, they don't jump to that conclusion. They don't jump to the accusation. But someone who is wise is going to act in tenderness and in understanding. So like, oh Lord, I need to be more wise. So these are things I'm focusing on right now. They really are. Because we can very easily just, we have the look that says idiot, stupid. Do you know what I mean? And that's the annoyance. That's a fool showing their annoyance at once. So I hope that kind of helps in that direction. I have to work on my heart. I really do all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I care about people.
Yeah, I know. Which is why you want to correct them. You want to see them succeed better. Yeah. Can't you see?
And I've learned through, I've attended 2 First Steps,
awesome.
And, I'm reminded of it, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So do you recommend then that I start my day by reading these proverbs that speak to me in addition to other scriptures?
Yeah.
Just as a reminder.
Yes. It has to be a focus. Reminder. You know what success is, Carla. Mm-hmm. You know what success is. Success is daily, right? Putting a focus on something. And so since this is an area that I'm telling you, your whole life is going to change by just this one thing, improving communication skills. Here's another thing. Creating a dynasty is coming up.
I'm registered.
Awesome. That is massively going to overhaul your communication skills. Massively.
Good.
You are going to be so blessed coming at that event. It's going to blow your mind. And again, I teach everything that I've done with communication skills and the areas where I've had to dig some stuff out of my heart because it's all a heart issue. The annoyance that shows up on my face is my heart issue. That if I can't bring correction in love, meaning not love from my perspective, but the person feels loved. Do you understand?
Yeah, because it's not I'm correcting them because I love them.
Right.
It's because they need to feel the love through my correction.
Exactly. And not because they've done something wrong. But you will learn at Creating a Dynasty how to bring correction in such a beautiful, elegant way that it empowers the person for change. They don't walk away with condemnation. They don't feel guilty. And there's some that no matter what, okay, there are some people that are bent with rejection, right? And they're bent with abandonment issues. And those people, no matter how you communicate with them, always receive condemnation. Always. They can take a compliment and twist it into condemnation. That's how they are. But that's not everybody that's around you. But those that have a bend towards rejection, which I'm going to be doing, actually the next First Steps, I'm going to be doing a teaching specifically on that right there, on rejection, and how to get free from that thing and what it sounds like. And I hate that thing. I used to have that. So even someone paying a compliment to me, it would twist in my head, and I saw it as a critical word. Oh, you're saying that because I'm lacking in this area. Oh, I get you. You know what I mean? It was terrible. But anyway, generally speaking, it's a heart issue. And when we walk in that foolishness and our annoyance is shown at once, that's a heart issue. And so you're going to learn this. In fact, you're even going to get a script from me. You're going to actually get a script in one of the sessions on how to confront an issue. And it just brings restoration. It brings closeness. It brings more loyalty. That's how the conversation's going to end. So I'm excited for you. And I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of you that you are self-aware and that you know what needs to be shored up and what needs to be improved. And I admire you for that. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more on successful communication right after this.
If you've ever wanted to make millions, change the world, be the voice for the voiceless, and have a blast doing it, then you need to spend some time with this lady right here. She's been doing it for years, and she'll show you how. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
My name's Derek, and this is my wife, Michelle. And we're the Holland Sheds. We live in Covina, California, about 45 minutes from here. And we're extremely honored to be able to share our story. And when we were approached about it, I was kind of thinking, well, where do I start? Where do we start? But I'm going to start a few years back before there was a Michelle and Derek. Actually, I was actually debt-free, and kind of going along pretty good. And then a funny thing happened. I got married, and I married into debt. And okay, we're going to do fine. We'll pay it off and life will be good. But a funny thing happened was that didn't seem to happen. And as a result, it, just kind of thinking it's going to happen, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and something always happens, and and the result is debt doesn't get paid. So it starts becoming like an old friend. And then unfortunately the marriage failed, but I was able to meet Michelle, and we got married, and married into debt again. only now it's a little bit bigger, but at least the house that I had, this was during the housing boom, so used some of the equity in the house to pay that debt off, and okay, we got a clean slate, let's go forward. And but in our early days in our marriage, we had some difficulty as far as being on the same page financially, and Michelle will share a little bit more about that. And I guess it's a good point for me to hand it over to her.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Like Derek said, honestly, you guys, the first 7 years of our marriage, when I came into our marriage, he paid up my debt all. And I ran our debt up 3 different times in the first 7 years of our marriage, you guys. I would have never imagined being in that spot. Derek didn't trust me. And it finally got to a place where, my gosh, I can't keep doing this. I was pretty much told to come to this event by a good friend of mine, and it was the best thing she could have said to me because it's what I needed. I would have not have come had I not have had that charge and challenge that way. The moment I got here and we saw the war, I saw the war on debt, I said, this is it. This is our ticket. This is what's going to help us go to the next level. This is what's going to help us. You guys, we've since in 33 months, we have paid off over $159,000 worth of debt. We have money in savings. We have $300,000 in assets, income-producing assets. We continue to plug in. I was the first one to come, but immediately afterwards, I told my husband I couldn't wait. I called him. I told him about War on Debt. He immediately said, let's do it. We had some friends that hosted a War on Debt class there right after, and we went to it, and we found $502 worth of excess spending our first month, and we revisited our budget after that, and then we thought we were just broke, living paycheck to paycheck. We were overwhelmed. We felt hopeless. I never would have thought I would lose my husband's trust, and the techniques, the strategies that Dani Johnson teaches you guys helped us save our marriage, our finances, our communication. You guys, we started out with, my favorite product is spiritual equipping, and I know Darren has a favorite product.
We're on debt, you think?
You guys, we kind of bought things one by one. However, you guys have a great opportunity outside that door, that table out there, where you can buy the whole DJ University curriculum, and you get almost $1,000, over $1,000 off. So you have either option, but that's a great opportunity for you. Don't let anything stop you guys. There is hope, there is life, and I'm very grateful and honored to be here. So without further delay, you guys, help us welcome back America's favorite millionaire and our mentor and coach, Dani Johnson.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Overreacting will never get you the results that you want with people. And where does money come from? It comes from people. There's something else that comes from people too, and that's opportunity. Opportunity comes from people. You see, the opportunity to be promoted, the opportunity to be cross-promoted, meaning move to an area of the company that you want to work in. If you are an overreactor, it cuts off opportunity for your life. It really does, which then hurts your earning potential. Money comes from people. Opportunity comes from people. Yes, I know God is the one that gives opportunity. He's the one that gives the money, but he gives it through who? people. And so being an overreactor and communicating all of your annoyances or your frustration or flying off the handle, these things hurt your financial position. It hurts the relations of the people you live with and the ones that you work with. There's something else that does as well. And I want to see you succeed. That's why we do this show every day. We are so committed to your success. We're so committed that every day we meet with you. Right here, right now, at this time. And why? Because we know that you can succeed. I know that you can. Come on, I grew up in an overreacting, like time bomb home, more like nuclear bomb home. All kinds of violence, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical, like, grabbed by the throat, shoved up against walls to be cursed at by who I thought was my father and turned out that he wasn't even my dad. Ugh. I grew up with so much hostility and arguing. It's not even arguing, fighting. So obviously that's what I learned. I learned that. And I'm so grateful that I met the group of entrepreneurs that I did when I was 19. And they introduced me to personal development. They introduced me to learning new communication skills. And of course, I was led because I was greedy. I just wanted to make money. I could care less about people back then. But man, I'm telling you, a massive transformation happened inside of me with learning those particular skill sets. And now I care. I care about you succeeding. And so today's program, to be honest with you, when I think about all the different shows that we do and different topics, this is really one of the most important topics for us to talk about, because it is why you got fired in your last job. It's why you were not getting promoted. It is why you perhaps got divorced. It's lack of good communication skills. And here's what's funny, is victims always think they're great communicators. They do. They just think everyone else is the problem. It's not everybody else. It's us, and we have to make the improvements. We can't change other people, and we can't change how they hear either, but we can certainly change how we talk to them, for sure. All right, so we're talking about communication gaps, if you will. We've got Sarah Curry on the phone from St. Louis, Missouri. Sarah, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. What would you say is the area that you need to make improvements for communication?
Hi, Dani. My biggest one is communicating effectively with new prospects.
Why?
Finding new people.
Why? Why is that a problem?
I feel either I'm too pushy or I don't want to be pushy, so then I become too nice. And then I don't follow through. It's like, oh, I don't want to be pushy, so therefore I'm just going to say, okay, never mind, and kind of shy away.
Okay, so you flip-flop between the aggressor and the pleaser.
Exactly.
Well, you might want to stop doing that. And you might
be a good idea.
It would be a really good idea. And you probably should pick one and do that. And you can fine-tune your approach through really good training. Let me ask you a question. You're obviously in some sort of sales. So as a salesperson, communication skills are, oh my gosh. You don't want to be a car salesman, and you don't want to sound like you're reading a bedtime story to somebody, okay? Because that is degrading to another human being. It's also degrading to be a pushy salesperson also. And so I would recommend, here, I want you to write down this phone number. We do a lot of sales training, a ton. And with sales training, it's something that if you're in sales or marketing, it's something that you have to learn to improve every single day. Not once a month, not once a year, not twice a year, meaning every single day. If you're dealing with the public, you have to make sure and sharpen and fine tune those skills. I want you to think of yourself as an Olympic gold medalist. And let's say, what's your favorite sport, in fact?
Swimming.
That's exactly what I was going to say. How weird. I'm not kidding you. I was totally going to say an Olympic gold medalist that is a swimmer. So that's so wild. Okay, so swimming. Tell me, do they practice every day?
Yes.
And what do they do when they're practicing?
Swimming.
They're fine-tuning.
Yes.
They're fine-tuning their process. What's the difference between the swimmers at the local pool and an Olympic gold medalist?
Consistency.
And training.
Training.
Daily training. And do they just train themselves? No. Who trains them?
Coach.
Exactly. And so if you want to make good money very part-time in sales, because I generated millions of dollars part-time working in the sales profession. And I can tell you the reason why I could make that money and only work part-time is because I was trained, and because I was held accountable, and because I constantly was fine-tuning my game. And that's what you have to do with communication, especially communication in the art of selling and marketing, okay? So write this phone number down. It's 866-760-8255. I want you to talk to Stephen or Nellie. Ask for either one of them. Stephen or Nellie, whichever one is available. And I want you to get your hands on two things. One, I'm going to give it to you for free, okay? And it's called First Steps to Wealth. This has some communication skills in it, several chapters in it, actually, for communication skills, do's and don'ts, right? And how to phrase things and word things properly. Okay, that's one. This is called First Steps to Wealth. If you want the copy right now, you'll get the ebook copy, and it's all the same words, okay, but it comes in an ebook. If you want the physical copy and you're like me, you like to dog ear, highlight, write notes in the margin kind of thing, then you want a physical copy of the book, then you pay the shipping to get it to your house, and I will pay for the $15 book, okay? And Stephen or Nellie will help you. The other thing I want to tell you about is prospect and close your way to millions. Ask them about that, okay? This is a fine tuner with your ability to prospect to cold market, warm market, lukewarm market. If you don't know what those markets are, you need to understand what those markets are and how to approach all three of them, okay? 2 of them are free markets. 1 of them costs money, and that's doing ad campaigns. But prospecting Close Your Way to Millions is such a powerful, powerful tool. I think it's like 6 or 7 actually, CDs. They also have it digitally available on video so that you can actually watch and control your nonverbal communication when you're communicating with somebody. So this is your next step for going towards the gold medal. It's training, it's consistency, it's being coached, and it's doing it daily, practicing doing the actual function that's going to take you to that gold medal, okay? So again, prospecting Close Your Way to Millions, First Steps to Wealth. I'm giving you the book for free. Get a hold of the other video and audio of Prospect to Close Your Way to Millions. It's going to change the way you communicate with people big time, big time. I'm excited for you, Sarah. I can't wait to see what your results are going to be. Okay, so yeah, communication. It is either going to make you a lot of money or you're going to go broke. Literally on how you communicate. Come on, you and I have been on a car lot before, right? And we've been on a used car lot. What I want you to do, and it's a quick little study, if you were to go to a used car lot, you know how those guys communicate. You're kind of afraid actually to step on that used car lot, aren't you? Because you know you're going to be badgered. You know you're going to be smooth talked. You know that there's someone who's going to try to manipulate you with some cheesy lines that, they've been saying for years and they think it actually is still going to work. Not to mention you're going to smell a lot of smoke and you're going to smell last night's whiskey on the guy's breath or the gal's breath, okay? But if you walk into a Mercedes-Benz car lot, you do not experience that at all. Their communication is completely different. All the more why they make so much more money selling cars. One is communicated prestigiously, the other one is demeaning. You can change the way you communicate and therefore make more money. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. For families in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua, life is filled with fear and struggle. They don't have enough food for their kids, clean water is hard to find, and they're living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel on top of mining tunnels that could explode and sink at any moment. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming this village. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha to see how you can help. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org, and click on Santa Pancha. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Your income is determined by your communication skills. That's what we've been talking about here today. And you can learn how to make more money by simply learning better communication skills. We've got Joycelyn on the phone from Tucson, Arizona. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dani.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So what's your communication challenge?
My challenge is I'm really good about getting people to talk about themselves, about their family, about their occupation, about their recreation, anything they enjoy. My trouble is getting from that to the message I'm trying to come across to.
Okay, so basically you've come in contact with our communication system called Form, which is getting people to, controlling the conversation and getting them to talk about themselves. But when it comes to the close, it sounds like you're getting them to talk, but you're not listening.
I'm listening. I can actually get
No, you're not.
I can get there.
You're not listening because you're not closing, because it is natural to close the conversation if you actually are listening.
Okay.
So you're not listening to what they're saying. You're focused on getting them to talk, and you're not focused on finding the need that you need to fill and then repeating that need back to them. So,
okay.
Got it? You have to listen.
Yeah.
The key to communication is listening. Big time. Especially if you're in the sales profession. In the sales profession, if we do not listen to what people are saying, or we're only selectively listening to what we want to hear, when we're not really hearing not only what they're saying, but what they are actually communicating without the words, what their body language is, what their tone is, all of that stuff. When we do not tap into that, then we miss it altogether. And of course, the sale doesn't come through. Or the communication with, closing your husband on taking you to France, like Sarah in one of our prior shows who, with her tax return money, because she cut up her credit cards, because she didn't go further in debt, she did what? She was able to pay cash for a long-awaited honeymoon in France with her husband. Okay, so my point is that we have to learn to listen to those that are around us to really hear what it is that they are communicating. And when we do that, conversation naturally comes into harmony. It really does. Not 100% of the time, because there's some people out there that got emotional issues, they got rejection issues, they got abandonment issues. And so communicating with them is like jumping through hoops of fire, 3 of them in 3 different directions. I mean, it's very, very challenging with that. We need to do a show on that. We absolutely need to do a show on that. Anyway, so that's it for us today. I know that if you follow through with the things that you've heard today concerning communication, it's going to raise your income. It's going to improve your relationships at home, at your church, in your community. You're going to become more valuable because great communicators have high value out there in the marketplace, and they have high value at home. Good communicators create trust. Yes. And more gets done in much less time because of trust. Seriously. All right. Well, this is Dani Johnson. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with you today. God bless you, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.